Hi, welcome to Border Crossings. My name is Larry London, and together we will get up close and personal with alternative rockers, Gin Blossoms. From Arizona, the Gin Blossoms formed in 1989 and have gone on to sell millions of records and scored several major chart hits, including Jealousy and Follow You Down. In 2018, they marked the 25th anniversary of their 5 times platinum-selling album, New Miserable Experience. They are currently on tour in support of their latest CD, Mixed Reality. Today, we are joined by the Gin Blossoms. Stay tuned to Border Crossings. Hi, this is Border Crossings. My name's Larry London. We welcome you to a special show. They're on tour for an album they put out a year ago, Mixed Reality. We'd like to welcome to Washington Grammy-nominated, multi-million-selling recording artists all the way from Tempe, Arizona. We've got Gin Blossoms in our studios. Welcome, guys.
Hello, Larry.
It's nice to meet the Gin Blossoms. Who are the Gin Blossoms today?
I'm Robin, and this is Jesse.
And you have 2 other guys who aren't with us.
3 other guys.
3 other guys.
Yeah, the hell with them.
We don't need them today.
Yeah.
We got the important ones. We got the vocals.
Pretty much.
Still sleeping.
Yeah.
So tell me about Gin Blossoms. That's an interesting name for a band. Where did that originate?
It's a good name for a band. It's a really good name. Our bass player, Bill, I guess, came up with it. It's from a book called Hollywood Babylon. There's a famous photograph of W.C. Fields in his heyday. And the caption below says, W.C. Fields with Gin Blossoms. And it's those exploded veins on his nose from drinking too much. That's what Gin Blossoms are.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's one of the top 20 names, band names in rock history.
Yeah, I would agree. You're not going to get any argument from me. Yeah. Now, I know that you guys were known for something at the time called Grunge Rock when you first started and came out.
No, you're thinking of another band.
Well, alternative rock. You guys
alternative
and grunge.
We were definitely a part of the alternative movement, as it were, but we were far from ever considered grunge.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought in your original initial days, the hippie days, the rock days back in the early time period, you did a little garage grunge stuff in Tempe.
We rock, but we don't really have a metallic edge to our music. You know, we come from more of a classic rock school of like Tom Petty and Cheap Trick and music like that, I suppose.
And I think a term Mill Avenue sound has been associated with you. What is Mill Avenue?
Mill Avenue is the street in Tempe where there used to be a lot of nightclubs. Used to be this fun bohemian neighborhood that we used to spend a lot of time in, and all the bands in Arizona played on Mill Avenue.
A lot of groups from Arizona, a lot of big name bands.
There were for a while. Yeah.
It's a great place to be if you're a sports fan, and it's interesting to, music is kind of growing in Arizona, I guess.
Well, it seems there's always a lot of music coming out of Arizona, but in our day, back in the 80s and 90s, we had a very centralized music scene. It really had a really nice time in the sun for a little while. At one point, there were 7 bands from Tempe that all had major label recording contracts.
In the 80s and early 90s, there were a lot of band sounds, Smash Mouth and, all the different groups, including Gin Blossoms. And so today it's not band-driven anymore. It's more solo artist-driven. I mean, is that one of the changes that you've seen over the years since you guys have been doing this for so long? It's more emphasis on singer-songwriters nowadays than alternative bands?
I guess it was always pop, but pop has changed, so it's different. Back then, it was just 5 guys with guitars, and I think maybe that got tired for the moment. But it seems like it's coming back. You see a lot of kids playing guitars again.
And you guys, when you're on the road, you see. I think one of you said it's amazing to see all these 20-year-olds that come out to the shows. That you're still attracting the young crowd. You probably still have the original fans that were with you back in the beginning. So you appeal to quite a diverse audience.
We do, yeah. We've always been fortunate in that we don't offend too many people's musical sensibilities.
And how'd you meet? How'd you all come together?
Well, in Tempe, the music scene was relatively small and condensed, and you either were if you were interested in that, you were either going to open mic nights, or you were in a band, or you worked at the record store. And 3 of us in Gin Blossoms all worked at Tower Records in Arizona, and so if you if you didn't work there, you probably knew somebody who did. So our little scene, Mill Avenue, Tower Records was right there on Mill Avenue as well. So it was, sort of concentrated.
And I had read somewhere you weren't the original lead singer. You came into the band.
Jesse was the original lead singer. I joined the band 2 months after their first show. So I missed out on the first couple rehearsals and the first few gigs, and then
and then it just sort of transitioned, and we were both singing for a while, and then it just morphed into a different direction, and we would still sing a few songs in the show, or occasionally sing a song on a record.
What do you get excited about writing new music? Does that still get exciting to you when you sit down and say, okay, let's do another album? Because you take your time. We were talking off air. You'd like to take your time, long breaks in between, 9 years between a couple albums, whatnot. So
yeah, that wasn't on purpose or anything, but I can say for sure, yeah, it's exciting when you're writing a good song. When I know I'm onto something that's kind of special, I find that exciting. And then when I hear songs from my bandmates that are exciting, and that I can see that they are enthusiastic about, that's exciting too.
Do you have a wish list of who you'd like to work with, or no? Anybody collaborations?
Well, Tom Petty, Freddie Mercury,
all the greats that are gone, right?
Not really. We're happy right now to be out on tour with Collective Soul. That's a good lineup for us,
right?
And we're selling a decent amount of tickets, and beggars can't be choosers. It's kind of like that. So we're lucky to have partners like Collective Soul that musically it works, personality-wise it works, the audience likes it, we all enjoy it. So
And I see a Queen T-shirt. Will they be one of your favorites, your influences?
Yeah, the first record I ever bought was A Night at the Opera, and I saw them on the Midnight Special. Back when I was in the 3rd grade, and that was the moment that I decided to become a rock singer. So I've been on this path ever since, and Queen was always my first and most favorite group.
Well, we're glad to have you guys in the studios. Gin Blossoms are on tour. They're here with us right now on Border Crossings. Would you do a song for us?
Yeah, sure. Here's a song called Allison Road.
You want to start it?
Yeah.
and on and on. And so you had a little break. You did kind of decide you wanted to do some different stuff.
Yeah.
What brought you back together?
Well, a combination of pressures from our ex-wives, our managers, our agents, and and within the group itself. I know for me personally, we broke up in 1997. We got back together again in 2001, and for me, one of the triggers was that I had written this song, and I played it for a friend of mine, Lawrence Zubia, good friend of both of ours, and. I played this song that I wrote for Lawrence, and he goes, "Robin, that's a Gin Blossom song." And I thought, well, then I guess maybe the band needs to get back together again, And we were already getting a lot of offers to do shows and stuff, so it was headed in that direction.
Well, of course, they gave us such great hits as Hey Jealousy and Follow You Down, and many, many others, sold millions of records. You guys have played everywhere on the planet. You played a rock. You played quite a few different places.
True. There's certain places we've never been. Some of the more obvious places, like we've never been to Japan. We've never been to Australia. We performed across most of Europe, but not all of it. We did interviews in France, but we never did a concert there, for example. So, there's still plenty of holes on the map. But then, as individuals, we traveled quite a bit. And, I've been able to see a little bit of the world. I've been in Nepal and Africa on my own. And, so I feel like I've been pretty far from home.
We're broadcasting to Africa right now. Very popular place for the program.
Hello to all my friends in Tanzania.
Do you have favorite places you like to perform?
Here now.
Right now, this is it.
This is great. I always enjoy Pittsburgh. I always have a good time in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Go figure.
Nice town.
It really is a beautiful town. Hi, people.
Put French fries on everything.
Oh, you guys. Gin Blossom's being funny here. Mixed Reality is the name of their latest album. Yeah. Not necessarily new, but as Robin said, a year ago, kind of makes it new. So what's next? Do you have another album planned? Are you talking about something?
Well,
new-ish?
Jesse's got a song we're going to record sometime this summer, and Jesse and I both have songs ready to go. So I'd like to talk about making another record next year. And we'll see if the band is up for it and whatnot.
Now, because we're broadcasting to an international audience here in the United States, very common to get tattoos. Other countries, it's not so common. And I always get asked, about artists' tattoos. What was that about? What was that about? And it's too late to ask. Now that it's not too late to ask, and I see there's a lot of artwork that you've got, and I'm sure everything has a special story. Is there one favorite thing that you can share with us that's kind of clean enough that you can share?
Probably the crowned phoenix here is probably my favorite piece. I actually got this done on the television show L.A. Inc.
Wow.
And this is the most beautiful piece of work. But, I got, mostly this is lyrics. I got Cheap Trick, Tom Petty, The Meat Puppets, Queen, My Chemical Romance, The Smithereens, Rolling Stones.
So you got nothing in your world travels? You never went to somewhere and said, I want to get a flag or something written in another language?
Well, no, I got the Arizona flag here.
Yeah, well, that's,
a little bit
of this country.
Hometown pride. No, I've never gotten a tattoo overseas.
They're on your to-do list.
Yes, but right here, this is
so you got some skin left.
This is the signature of Chrissy Hines of the Pretenders.
Really?
So
she signed.
That's real. I'm real proud of that. We did some shows with the Pretenders, and I got her to sign my arm. I went straight to a tattoo parlor. So.
That's great. Well, Gin Blossoms are with us right now. And how long is this particular tour going on? Is it a world tour, and how long is it going?
Just U.S. and Canada. We're going to do like 20 dates a month for the rest of the summer through September. So between now and the end of September, we're going to do something like 65 shows.
Well, you average about 100 a year. You guys work very hard, do a lot of stuff.
We do.
Well, that's great that you're keeping that music going. And you were once referred to as the best unsigned band in America.
Yeah, that was so true. We were.
Yeah, but you got signed, didn't you, eventually? Or
yeah,
no?
Eventually we got signed, and then we weren't.
You weren't the best.
It all
band.
went downhill from there.
So I was going to ask. I mean, it does change when you give your creative control over to when it becomes a business more than an art, and you give the control to somebody. It's got to change everything: the sound, the direction.
Well, sure. You're under a lot of pressure. You're suddenly working in a system that's much larger than just your group in your hometown. And when you're tasked with writing a song for a movie, for example, there's a lot of pressure on you to deliver something really solid. And there's been more than a few times in our career where we were told, go write a hit, and We did. We pulled it off.
So I mean, if you could tell me then, what is different about Go Write a Hit versus writing another song? I'm sure some songs you don't write with the intention of being a hit. You want to tell your story.
The difference is people's perceptions. What the record company decides is or is not a hit. You know, I mean, for making a record and for certain types of artists, they'll accept all sorts of material. But when the pressure is on to deliver a hit song, you know, it's a magical combination of factors. I mean, it has to be a good song to start with, but then it also, you know, has to represent the band well and fit with what radio's got in mind, and you know, things that you can't control. So we're just lucky that we're so talented.
Well, having done this for as long as you have and seen how everything's changed, are you happy with music today compared to what it was when you started, when you put on the radio?
You know, it's a completely different delivery mechanism now. You know, what we're doing here, this is pretty old school, like a radio interview. But people don't really buy records anymore.
Right.
So, you know, the delivery mechanism is mostly streaming. And people listen to music on YouTube. They're not watching videos. They're using YouTube as a radio, more or less. So that's what I see as the biggest change. And then, of course, in our early days, you know, we were on tour before GPS and before cell phones and stuff like that. So if we needed to make a phone call, you needed to find a payphone and break out your little phone card. And we had an atlas, a physical printed atlas in the van with us that we had to use to navigate the highways and byways. And so that's all different now. Everybody's got phones and robots telling them where to go.
And the technology in the recording process has made it a little bit easier because now you don't have to be in the same room at the same time.
It's true.
You know, when you started, you all had to be there.
You can spend a lot less money to make a record. When we were young, it was an expensive proposition. You can still spend a lot of money if you want to, but
Right.
I hear some really fantastic records. My son has a band. It's not really a band. It's just a collection of college guys, and they make music in the garage. And some of the stuff they play for me sounds pretty amazing, and it's just 4 smart kids with a computer.
That's, you know, today, I don't know, when you guys did it, it was a lot harder because you had to be good, and there wasn't technology to fix things. You know, well, we can raise them up, speed them up, slow them down, change the tone,
There
the
were
pitch,
tricks.
whatever.
There were some tricks, yeah,
Back then?
but it was more manual. It wasn't all done in the computer. It was physically having to fix something, punch in mistakes, and cut the tape and edit it the old-fashioned way. But there were tricks.
And it's interesting now that maybe they don't have the facility on the instrument that they used to, but the computer's become such a part of record making that they're so adept at it that it's I think maybe more important. Well, certainly is now.
Where's the most interesting place that you ever got a song idea for writing a song? Your most interesting inspiration? Is there any place that's kind of like a little odd, or no? Just all the standard
really.
stuff in a tour bus or in a hotel room? And
Yeah, lyrics. I hear lyrics and melodies come to
Jail.
me anywhere.
Jail. I love it.
I'm gonna go with jail.
That's what I'm looking for. A little honesty.
A brothel.
All right. There we go. We've got Gin Blossoms with us. Would you guys do another song?
Sure. This is one of our newer tunes. This is called Break.
You can always hope that somehow you can rise above empty bottles and regrets always piling up. We don't always want what's easy, never is enough. Not what I set out to be, but more than what I was, and I won't break. I won't let it break my heart. You can always walk a hard line, you can stand alone, but when your dreams die fast, they all return as ghosts. Looking out from under shadow, blinded eyes. to be more than what I was, and I won't break. I won't let it break my heart. I crawl out from under, cast down, I fall and rise above, and I won't break. I won't break. Close your eyes, hold me tight. Everything is gonna be alright. Close your eyes, hold me tight. Everything is gonna be alright. Close your eyes, hold me tight. Everything is gonna be alright. Close your eyes, hold me tight. Everything is gonna be alright.
Yes, Gin Blossoms. We got Robin and Jesse in here from the band. Way back,
thank you.
There wasn't a time that
Always going crazy.
the crowds
All
are going
right.
in 100 countries. They're all standing going wild for you. Now there wasn't a time in the 90s that you didn't put on the radio that you couldn't hear the Gin Blossoms. You guys were on all over the place, and over time, the 6th album came out last year. Music's changed. How do you think your music has changed? How have you guys evolved? I mean, today's music, you got to be thinking differently, writing differently than you did when you first started.
I don't think we really have changed that much. We do what comes naturally to us, and we've never followed trends. We play the kind of music we want to play, and we write what comes to us naturally.
And I know I had I had Matchbox 20 in here once, and I asked, what's the key to staying together and being successful? And at that time, Rob Thomas told me staying relevant. What would you say has been the key to Gin Blossoms?
I don't think they're together anymore.
No, they are. He's still doing stuff with them. He's got solo.
Is it with the original band, though?
No,
Oh,
probably not
no.
the original.
There you
band.
go.
So they're not relevant, I guess.
I don't know. You said it.
But you guys are now.
We're somehow we've remained a consistent level of semi-relevance, and I think the main factor in keeping a band together is compromise. A band like us, we have a lot of strong personalities. We have a deep bench of songwriters, so it's not any one guy's band. The 4 of us that run the band, we each get an equal vote, and no one's vote is bigger than anybody else's. So I think we're unique. It seems that most bands have like a main guy who kind of writes most of the music, but we're not like that. We're kind of spread out in that sense. So it's a very democratic, and I think that's our secret.
When you first started, you guys were 20s and 30s, and so now you have kids and families. Yeah. How do you make this work? As an adult with a family.
You leave them at home.
You leave them at home.
You go
That's
work.
Pretty simple.
It's hard. You usually get divorced.
Really?
You rebuild.
All of us did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. It's a tough life.
It is a tough life.
Yeah.
If I had known when I was young all the choices you would make, it might have given me pause.
Was it? So it wasn't always music, or it was? You knew early.
No, it was always music, but it's a real committed life, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's no backing down, and You just got to keep moving forward.
We got
It's nice life, but
we're committed to each other. We're committed to each other's families. You know, I feel as much an obligation to Jesse's kids and Scott's kids as I do to my own. You know, and I give the kids a lot of credit in keeping the band together too, because a lot of this is for them.
Right. Are they musical? Are your children?
seem to be.
Jesse's kid's in a band, and yeah, my son's become quite the guitar player. And I just built us a recording studio at home, and I went the opposite direction. I built an old school analog 4-track recording studio because I wanted my son to understand the founding principles of audio engineering. And so we have a computer, but our studio's built around an analog 4-track.
Well, that's great. I mean, that you guys are still together. You've stayed committed, like you mentioned, and that's at what age did you start writing songs? When you figured?
I was in the third grade.
Third grade.
First time I tried to write a song. Yeah. I didn't get any good at it until I was like 22 when I joined Gin Blossoms, and even then, it took a few tries before I finally turned in something that everybody agreed was worth the band playing. And then, Jesse, when did you start?
I'm still trying.
Still working on it?
Now, if you weren't doing music, what would you be doing?
I have no idea.
No idea.
I was always interested in art, graphic art.
Okay.
And science was my other big passion. So I could have easily gone in those directions. But I was really fortunate to be in the right place at the right time with the right skill set, and for the Gin Blossoms to need a guy. And I just happened to be right there with what they needed.
Well, you got great harmonies. You got a great voice, great sounds.
That's always been the foundation of our group, really, is Jesse and I singing together. When I auditioned for the band back in 1988, that was how it started. Jesse and I started singing together. We just started singing a Bodine song, and it sounded so great. Everybody in the room got all geeked out, and we knew we were onto something. So.
Well, it's still going strong. The people still love you around the world. We're so happy to have you, and thank you for joining us for this. Gin Blossoms are in our studios. Would you do another song for us?
Yeah, we'll close it out with the big hit. This is Hey Jealousy. 1, 2. Tell me, do you think it'd be alright if I could just crash here at night? You could see I'm in no shape for driving. Anyway, I've got no place to go, and you know it might not be that bad. You're the best I'd ever had. If I had blown all thing years ago, I might not be alone. Tomorrow we could drive around this town. Cops chase
All the millions of records sold, all the stages you played on, the awards, the accolades. What's been your career highlight?
This right now.
Right now,
Yeah,
today,
right
this is
now.
it. Being on
Here's
the
with
Voice
you.
of America.
And then later today, the show we're going to do will probably top.
It will top this.
Top even this. You know, we're very grateful to be working musicians to be able to do this for a living. You know?
Well, you're going to be around for a lot longer, as long as you want, because you guys are great. You really sound
We're
great.
hoping we can squeeze another 15 years out
Easy.
of it. You know?
Easy.
We'll see.
Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Thank you, Larry.
Now, how do we find you online for all the people around the world that want to?
Ginblossoms.net is our
.net.
home page, and then from there you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and whatnot.
Well, thank you guys very much for being on.
Thank you.
Gin Blossoms, our guest today. They're on tour. They're on the road. Check them out. Go online. Ginblossoms.net. My name is Larry London, and this is Border Crossings.